Ironwood Games. This is Andrew.
And this is Marcus.
And we are back. Marcus is with us again. We're going to try and get um, a third game in. We're going to try and get a win here. We're back with this quick draft that I did that is not as black heavy as that last game would lead you to believe. Trust me. Trust me. Or
I will trust him.
as
You
blue.
should too.
So let's go in and do it. Let's try and get a good hand, good draws, and at least get a victory under our belt before we tap out here completely. Oh, this is a pirate here. He's a buccaneer. You know that old joke?
No.
How much do pirates sell corn for?
I've never heard even the beginning of this joke. What is this? How much do pirates sell corn for, Andrew?
A buccaneer.
Oh, I walked right into that
Yeah,
one.
yeah. I mean, we told you the punchline before we started the joke. To me, this is an obvious keep. What do you think, Marcus?
I would say it's a nervous keep, but it is a keep.
Well, this is color fixing here.
Yeah, but you don't have an early game.
Well, I've got a foretell. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. There's no, if they have a fast start, and that it could be bad. And so I see what you're saying in that, and that we have some top things. Now you're making me question.
You need to keep this. That's fine.
I like it as a keep. I'm going to play the Shimmerdrift Veil. Even though it comes in tapped, I'm probably going to try and play it a little bit later. Of course, now that may change some things, depending on lands that I draw. So that I don't have to play it, but yeah, we're still going to do that. We're going to play Plains. And then it looks like they do have a fast start here, so congratulations, Marcus. Your forecast of doom has worked.
Did I forecast it or foretell it?
This is... Just for those keeping track at home, this is the first time we've let Marcus, comment on our games, and
Possibly
also
the last.
3 losses in a row. So we're just gonna not saying that means anything, but we're gonna just keep tabs and see, do I win more when Marcus is not here than when he is? So I'm trying to prove how brilliant I am and say, like, I can keep this. My deck is so amazing. And then, of course, the opponent has the fastest start this archetype, right? I don't know if that's true or not.
I may or may not be playing Pokemon Go while you're doing this, and I just look up and I see that he has 4 creatures and you have none, and my heart sank.
I mean, that's true. I am going to play a 3/6 Vigilance, and now he has to have removal or do something.
Play his removal spell.
It's possible. It's possible, Marcus. But you have to play the cards you have, and hope, as I do, that my deck wants to be mid-range, and that he's gonna run out of gas here, and we're gonna keep going.
He's all early game, no mid-early game.
I mean, that's the hope. I mean, at a certain point, you're drawing 1 card a turn, and so it's possible. Here's where the question is, do we play the Shimmerdrift Veil as a tapped black so we can play Burning Room Demon next turn? Yes, because we only have 1 double blue card, and if we get it, while it can be a really good card, well, we couldn't even play it yet anyways. It's a 12 drop. So here's where we have to question 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Do we offer the trade? and get to eat a couple of creatures. Since it has vigilance, I'm gonna say yes. He's got one treasure token. Could have the wings at white to untap and give +2/+1, is it, in flying? Okay, so he's just gonna gum up the board. I like it. This is fine. This is good. Oh, and we got our snow-covered island.
Yes.
So we've got all the colors we could ever need. We've got a dwarf warrior. We've got a cat. We could play the Rune Demon. It's a flying 6/6, puts a lot of pressure on him. Or we could put 2 creatures on the board. He does have black, so he could potentially have some discard.
I mean, if you would have played a removal spell, I think you would have done it by now.
I agree.
So I'm comfortable going more aggro.
This also, I don't know what we're going to search. This guy lets us search for 2 differently named cards, and then he chooses one, or he or she will choose one to go into our hand and the other to our graveyard. I think I'm just going to choose 2 creatures. I want to be careful not to just choose something that's an obvious dump, though. Like, they've got to be similar power levels, I think. So I'm thinking Furja and perhaps our Kraken.
Do it.
Yeah, let's do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And the Kraken's 10 right now. So, or he just gives up. Okay. He sees a couple of cards he doesn't like, and we take it. We did it. Take that, Marcus.
Wow. You were right. They literally had only an early game and nothing else.
Sometimes it works out.
You're right. I mean, that's what's awesome about Magic is there's games where you literally get to like 1 life and like after turn 3, and then you fucking pull it back.
Yes, no, and I think that's why we both, a lot of people, probably all the people watching again, like this game, is there's a lot of those decisions and things where you've got to take the risk, and I think in that one the risk paid off in keeping that hand and getting there. There were definitely some scenarios or some ways where that didn't. If he kept drawing more aggressive creatures or had some straight up removal or some things, definitely could have gone differently, so I think it's important. Oh, this seems like a terrible keep. Having 5, 5, 6 off color, and the Foretell being the only card. We're gonna send that one back.
That's much better.
This is much, much better. I think the thing we want to send back is our Shadow Sage, but could be way down since it needs a creature in the graveyard, and we do have Bound in Gold as removal.
Okay. Fine with that.
I think we're gonna do that. Return 1 card to the bottom. It's, I mean, it's again a risk in some different ways. But I think that is. Alright, we'll play our tapped land because we have nothing to do with it. At this point, we'll play Shieldmate on turn 2. Again, depending on what we draw. As always, I'll probably play Swamp just to have all 3 colors. Alright, he plays out a Helm. Yeah, I will play my Snowland. I always prioritize snowlands in this set, even if I don't have a lot of snow matters things. I think in general, just playing a snowland over other similar lands usually is better. A lot of not all, but some of the effects at least that care about snow are kind of X effects, where they care about how many snow permanents or snow lands you have. Since he's going in with some foretell and some slow things, we don't have anything to do, so we foretell our God's Hawk Guardian that can come out next turn, and we attack in.
Yes.
So it looks like he's got blue-red. That's gonna hurt a little bit, but that's fine. So he might have.
When he does that.
What's that? Oh, I thought you made a cool comment.
I did. I said you were supposed to say "ouch" when he hits you like that.
Ouch.
Yes,
okay,
exactly like that, Schaefer.
I want to attack, get in the free attack. I am going to play the Guardian as a bigger creature.
Guardian is like very underestimated. Like
I really like
that's
this
a
card.
big deal in this set.
If you can foretell it on turn 2 and get it out on turn 4, like it by itself is almost enough for a hand, right?
Yeah.
Like it with the other cleric that foretells, and then you can cast for 1. That has the second spell gain 2 life. As like you foretell that guy, then on turn 2, on turn 3 you can foretell God's Hall Guardian and cast the other guy, and then turn 4 you can play God's Hall Guardian. Like there's just good plays with him. Like 4 is definitely a big slot in Kaldheim. Okay, you put an Axeguard Braggart on the top, so I'm guessing that means he doesn't have a lot to deal with our creatures. And is maybe concerned about that getting big and out of hand. This guy, Doomscar Oracles, who I was talking about there. The thing is, no matter what I bind in gold, he can just move the helm to the other creature, and I don't know if it matters. I'm gonna offer him this trade. Because he can double block. He's out of mana. If he double blocks, I can eat whatever I want. It has vigilance, so it stays back to block. I'm gonna put down Frostpeak Yeti. If we don't draw more lands, I can again continue to build the board or sneak in for more damage, and I've got good blocks going on here. So I'm anticipating him having instants and sorceries since he hasn't been doing a lot, but then he hasn't been playing them either, so I'm thinking maybe he's trying to get into some removal, some damage spells, or he's doing something completely different that I'm not aware of in the blue-red archetype. With maybe some runes. Play our land. I think we are just going to sneak in for 3 here. With him having open mana, I don't want to offer the trade, because if he has a trick, we might just lose.
Nothing wrong with that.
Offering the trade, or just sneaking in for 3?
No, sneaking in, playing it safe.
Yeah. I think we have a good enough board state that, and we're going to keep advancing our board state, I'm kind of waiting for him to put this rune on something, and then we can bind that in gold on the next turn. I'm just going to play this out to use all of our mana. Again, we've still got good blocks. I anticipate he puts it here because it makes it less things can block it. It gives it flying, and then he's got 2 4/3s. Or a 4/3 and a 3/2 flyer, and can come in better, but we'll see. He may not cast it at all. He may just equip and cast and do all these things. I would love for him to go in all on one guy, because then he has to spend mana to re-equip all of the equipment next turn. Alright, he's got 2 Force Tell cards with 2 mana open. These could be the Scry draw. It's interesting that he didn't attack there. Could he have a counter spell?
There is, yeah, you could have the cancel.
Or even a null does artifacts and enchantments, right?
That's, I mean, he could. I'm just thinking of the foretell cards he has.
Oh, right. No, yes. And that's why I'm saying, yeah, he's got options that I'm just saying between all the cards, he's got enough options that I think, again, we're just going to sneak in. If he's not going to attack with it, I have no need to lock it down, because I can still sneak in for the same amount of damage. And then I think I will play this land out so that we can get, yeah, okay. So he's going to return something. That's fine. Now we can bound in gold since he doesn't have any blue. And we'll play Great Hall. We can play out our Red Yeti again next turn. We've still got options. I think we're in a good spot here, Marcus. I'm feeling okay about it.
Pretty decent.
If it was the second spell, so I want to play Yeti and then the Cleric to get the triggers. If he has a counter and he wants to counter Yeti because he's afraid of it, I'm fine with that. Again, it eats up a counter. It still gets this trigger as being the second spell cast, as their cast triggers. And
Put it on the Yeti?
I'm thinking of putting it on the Guardian. Just because it takes more blocks to kill it. And this is already the #1 target. So I'd like to diversify the targets. There is an argument for putting on the Yeti because right now it takes 4 Yeti hits to kill him. And then it would only take 3. But since this guy can't attack anymore, I can attack in with my Vigilant guy and force either blocks or he still takes the damage. And so I think that's what I'm going to do is do this, especially since I spent the mana and I can't get Yeti in. Well, I couldn't get him in anyways this turn. He doesn't have haste.
He might have a burn spell.
That's true.
Like that one?
Yeah. But he gave himself a 2-for-1. So again, I'll take it. Draw a card, remove a little giant card from your hand. Interesting. Okay. He's out of cards. We're ahead on board. I'm still feeling fine with that. Yeah, he'll have to move these over. I respect and totally agree with your caution about the burn spell. I personally, I think we're at a point where we're ahead enough, and on the board state and in cards, that I'd rather put pressure and make him use tricks now than get to control when those get used and what they get used for.
Right.
Here we are going to go in for some unblocked damage. We're gonna play Shimmer Drift as a island, and I think, yeah, we're gonna just play out our hand. I think that we either gain 3 life or we can deal him 3. And I think he's low enough on life that giving him the damage is a better proposition. Puts us essentially lethal, unless he can commit a bunch of creatures to the board and really stop us. He's got 2 blockers. We have to deal 4 damage. We've got 3 unblockable, so even our smallest guy is lethal. So we'll just send out more than he can deal with. He doesn't have anything. If I'm missing something somehow, I'll keep a blocker back just in case.
How come you didn't activate the ability?
Because this is lethal either way. And then in case I miss something or I messed up, I can play another creature out. But at this point, it's not going to make a difference in my calculations. Because he either blocked my 3/3 Yeti, which had already done its job, or if I made it unblockable, he blocks the 3/2, and then the Yeti still gets in. That's still 3 damage either way. And since he's out of cards in hand,
you can stay on the match now.
Yeah, you can.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, go back to the battlefield to look at it. No, it is nice. The one downside, and I've mentioned this in one of my videos, is that you can't look at cards in your deck after the match is over, which usually doesn't matter, and I don't like to look at my deck. But there was one match where I had missed a draw trigger. I could have drawn an extra card, and so I was curious what that card, like that mistake, if it actually cost me or not. So that's the only downside.
That's one thing MTGA has over this.
Yeah, one of the things I like MTGO, and one of the things that it does let you go back in and pretend like it's a physical deck, right? Look at those cards. So, okay, we're at 2-2. We're gonna pause here again, and we'll come back and we'll see what we can do. It's before we go, Marcus, what are your thoughts now that we won our next 2? Are you feeling better about my deck? You think have I redeemed myself in your eyes, or am I still a disaster?
I guess I still don't really. I mean, it seems like it's just very mid-rangey, build walls and sneak in, which is nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I think last couple games your deck was working a little bit better and giving you some draws, and unfortunately, it sounds like it is a little bit reliant on deck consistency. I'm curious if one of the do you have any draw?
No.
Is like one of the blue spells draw, like one of the blue foretell card that draws you, scries you. Okay. So I think that's your biggest kind of thing is like if especially if you dump your hand and then you're drawing one a turn, like you're kind of out of gas. But seems like when it wants to do what it wants to do, it does it really well.
Yeah. I thank you for your commentary. I agree. I think that draw is a little short. And yeah, and I built it kind of mid-rangey, try and sneak in. It's got not a ton, but it's got a little bit more flying power than we've seen. And then those Frostpeak Yetis sneak in for the win is kind of where it wants to go.
Hmm.
Is yeah, hold the early game, survive long enough to kind of take over the board, and then the hope is that, like we saw in those, is that by the time I'm top decking, my opponent's also top decking, and so then we've got better cards for the mid to late game than they do.
Hmm.
Um, which when it works, and we've seen it, it does it. Those first couple games from our last video, um, we didn't draw consistently in the early game enough to get out of kind of the early game. Is my assessment of it. So, um, which is a risk and one of the things that happens. So I won't say that I by no means am saying, yeah, I'm the greatest. Look at me. But um, I'm happy that it
You
did
are the
work.
greatest, Andrew.
I know. Thank you. No, I'm just always excited when it actually works to do what it wants to do when it draws well. Because sometimes even when you draw well, it still doesn't work, and you realize my plan or my idea just wasn't there. So I think your analysis was great. It was, um, I think, kind of identify some holes that maybe I didn't consider, and then sees kind of the plan that I was hoping it to have. Um,
Hmm.
so that's interesting. Any last thoughts before we sign off here, Marcus?
No, kind of this is kind of cool. It's cool, kind of constantly analyzing. I mean, that's what the pros do, right? Is like, I
Yeah,
mean, the doing the research, understanding strategies, developing kind of percentages of, and being mindful about all that, like during kind of the game. And so the best way to do that is to kind of be able to take a step back. I know I've played plenty of games where I'm just so in it that just like, oh, like having this. I mean, perhaps maybe this is a form of cheating. At the same time, having that kind of like, oh, like yeah, like seeing the bigger picture and having someone to kind of really analyze and see things that you can't pick up on is super helpful and just bettering the game altogether. And so it's cool that we had the opportunity to do that for each other today, and
yeah.
hopefully everyone watching has learned a little bit something about Kaldheim draft that helps better their skill.
Well put. I agree. I don't think it's cheating because there's no everyone can do it, and it's not a sanctioned event or something like that. I agree. If this was a sanctioned event or something, we would definitely be in some dangerous area. Um, but even pros we've seen um, do a side by side commentary of their own games and things, and they make some videos. So I don't
Hmm.
think we need to worry about uh, the ethical issue there.
I mean, you're the professional, so I will. You know,
Well,
you're the one
as
who
I've said in
represents
my
Wizards,
previous videos,
so
I am definitely not a professional. I get greedy, I try and make it work, and I lose a lot. So, well, all right. With that, we will see you for the next.
oh, speaking of professionals, everyone.
Everyone, what?
No, I was gonna make a bit. It's okay.
Oh,
Just sign off.
see you guys.
Bye.